Winnipeg quarterback Tom Clements just got off the phone talking to offensive spotter Bruce Lemmerman upstairs. The Edmonton Eskimos after a Winnipeg field goal. 1st and 10 from their 35. Milson Jones fumbles. Blue Bombers recover at the Edmonton 45. James Jefferson has the football. Somebody got a good pop on Milson Jones and forced the football loose after a good run by the Edmonton running back.
Well, that was one of the plays they called a quick in the Edmonton offense, that they felt that they could get into the Winnipeg secondary and really spoil the blitzing of the linebackers. And this time he gets through, gets about 9 to 10 yards, and then takes a real good pop. And Jefferson's quick to jump on the football.
James Jefferson had 2 interceptions last week, and he's off to a good start in this game with a fumble recovery, and the Bombers take over at the Edmonton 46. 1st and 10. Clements in the pocket, throws. James Murphy has it at the Edmonton 33-yard line. That'll be a 13-yard gain, 12 or 13-yard gain, and a Blue Bomber first down.
We began to talk earlier about Riley wanting Tom Clements not to set back in that straight strap back pocket as much as he has been. He wants to see Tommy move around a little bit because of his abilities to throw the ball on the run, and it helps the offensive lineman out if he's not always setting 9 yards back behind the center.
1st and 10 Bombers, Edmonton 32-yard line. Handoff, Willard Reeves looking for a hole and not finding one as the Eskimos closed it up very effectively. William Mitchell made the tackle on Willard Reeves.
Well, I know the Eskimos are happy to have Mitchell there. He played well for Toronto, and he also plays very well on the run, and that's why he's in this game, because they had to stop this man. They think he's the key to this offense. Slow Willard Reeves down, and you can slow down Tom Clements.
Well, they slowed Willard Reeves down for a gain of a couple and forced Winnipeg into a passing situation on 2nd and 8 at the Edmonton 30. Tom Clements sprints right, throws quickly, and it's batted away, intended for Boyd, and Stanley Blair got over to get a hand on it and knock it away.
That's a great play by Stanley Blair. He drops off, giving the respect that's deserved to Boyd, but then as soon as Tommy Clements rolls to the right side, looks like he's ready to release the ball. Stanley Blair closes as quickly to the sidelines and gets that left hand in front of the ball.
I guess we'd have to say they're working on Stanley Blair in the early going, wouldn't we?
To this point, they're getting a workout. He is getting a workout, but they haven't broken anything big except for that quick out to Murphy, and I think he's responded well.
37-yard field goal try by Trevor Kennard, and it's good. And the Blue Bombers increase their lead to 6 points with 4 minutes and 34 seconds left in the opening quarter. Four minutes, 34 seconds left, first quarter. Trevor Kennard has just kicked a 37-yard field goal. Blue Bombers lead the Eskimos 6-0. Matt Dunnigan hands off Chris Skinner, and he'll get a couple. There is a flag on the play. Darrell Patterson made the tackle.
Offside, Winnipeg, number 58.
James West a little early on that play, offside Blue Bombers. There's Benny Thompson making his season debut.
Coming off an injury to the knee, a sprained knee. They feel he's healthy. He's practiced well this week, but they're wondering if he's in game shape. He's gone in to replace Ken Haley, who we're looking at, who's got a pulled hamstring. They didn't want to push him because that type of injury can, if there's re-damage, could go for the whole season.
Bombers have 2 weeks off after this game. Haley will get completely well in that time. 1st and 5, Edmonton. Skinner with the ball. Hassan Abu-Bakr wrapped him up across the line of scrimmage, but Skinner fought ahead for a gain of close to 5 and close to an Edmonton first down.
Well, these are the types of plays they felt they can crack a seam in the defense of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and he gets a good read and comes back to the side and just gets his shoulder pads down and bulls his way to 4 yards. But with blitzing linebackers, sometimes the running back can go right by the linebacker if it hits quick enough. 2nd
and a yard. Eskimos at their 44. They have 5 seconds to get this play off as the 20-second clock ticks down, and they just made it. Handoff, Johnstone left side across the 45. He has the Edmonton first down. Eskimos sent their short yardage team in, and it took them a while to get out and over the football, and they very nearly didn't get the play off in the 20 seconds you're allotted. We're going to take a look at Darrell Sampson, young Canadian defensive back of the Blue Bombers from York University, a second-round draft pick last year. Our isolation cameras will follow him on this play, and then we'll show you how he made out. Eskimos 1st and 10 at their 45. Dunnigan wants a quick pass, and he has it. And James Jefferson had Stephon Jones the moment he had the football. But Jones gives Edmonton about a 5-yard gain.
Daryl Sampson played the last 3 weeks at the right halfback spot. This week is in the left halfback spot. He's in a man situation. He comes out of his back pedal and responds to Marco Sincar's break to the outside. The ball isn't thrown, but he's ready to break on the football.
2nd down and 6. Eskimos. Dunnigan loops it up long, but it's no good. Intended for Tom Richards, who turned to the outside at the Winnipeg 45-yard line. And the pass went over him by a good measure. And Matt Dunnigan is chatting with Richards.
Almost seemed like Dunnigan read one defense and Tom Richards read another and broke off what he thought should have been the pattern. Broke it off a little short. Dunnigan felt he could have gone a little bit further downfield into that seam.
6-0 Blue Bombers. Just over 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. Edmonton 3rd down and 6 at the Eskimo 50. Tom Dixon had his last punt partially blocked. Good snap, and Dixon gets this one off, and it's a good kick. Sampson at the Winnipeg 16-yard line, and his momentum takes him out of bounds. Dixon does a good job on a 43-yard punt. Matt Dunnigan chatting with Stefan Jones. Seems a little upset, Neil, over what's been going on with the Edmonton offense.
Well, they have to, the quarterback has to be in sync with his receivers, and if they're breaking routes off a little bit too soon, and Matt reads that the coverage is one thing and they should be broken off earlier, they've got to discuss that and straighten it out.
Blue Bombers leading here at Winnipeg Stadium, 6-0, 1st and 10 on their own 17-yard line. Clements, shovel pass to Willard Reeves. He's up to the 35-yard line before Junior Robinson cut him down.
Well, there's a big area between the nose tackle, Dan Kearns, and Zachary, the right defensive end. What they do is they let Hill go completely to the outside. Willard Reeves sets up in the middle, then moves that a little area, and Tom Clements shuffles pass inside.
That, by the way, counts as a passing play in the stats. Stu Hill gave Clements a pop in the ribs after he shoveled it off. A 20-yard gain. Clements fakes short and throws it long down the right sideline. But James Murphy can't get to it at the Edmonton 45-yard line. Well, there's a youngster enjoying this great Winnipeg evening and frolicking with Buzz or Boomer. I still don't quite have that sorted out.
I think that's Buzz.
I'm not going to argue with you. Why don't they put the names on the mascots? You can't tell the mascots without a program.
Or a number.
Tom Clements looks at a 2nd and 10 from his 36-yard line. And he's going long over the middle, and it's complete to Perry Tuttle, who fumbles the ball, but they're rolling him down because, as they say, the ground can't cause a fumble. And the Bombers have another good game.
Well, newcomer Don Wilson is on Perry Tuttle, and it's a simple over-the-middle pass. The safety is gone. Junior Robinson has left the middle in coverage. It's wide open. Clements reads that, throws the ball inside the Tuttle. All he has to do is close the pattern down a bit and make the catch.
Tuttle, the Bombers' leading receiver coming into this game, 17 catches for 308 yards. He puts Winnipeg at the Edmonton 49 with a 1st and 10. Bombers ahead 6-0. Clements to James Murphy, and he is cut down at the 43-yard line by Stanley Blair. He'll have 6 tough yards on that play.
Well, I could just see the face of Murphy, and when the ball was thrown, you could see he was going to have to leave his feet. He knew the cornerback Blair would be up, just giving him a shot behind the thighs. They know they're going to get hit, but he hangs on. It's a credit to them.
Barring a penalty, this will be the final play of the opening quarter. The Blue Bombers enjoying a 6-0 lead as you look at Danny Bass, outstanding middle linebacker of the Eskimos. Winnipeg 2nd down and 5 at the Edmonton 43. Clements sprints left, and he's going to go long for James Murphy. Can't get to it at the 10. He had a couple of steps on Ronnie Howard, but couldn't catch up to the football. 15 minutes in the books here at Winnipeg Stadium.
Welcome back. A sloppy first quarter comes to an end. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers leading 6-0 on 2 Trevor Kennard field goals. I sometimes wonder why Winnipeg eventually went to artificial turf. As a former player, it's so much easier on the body playing on the natural grass surface, especially on your knees. Only Edmonton and Winnipeg have the luxury of being those 2 grass field teams at this point in the CFL season. Coming up next, the second quarter.
Bob Irving and Neil Lumsden at Winnipeg Stadium. The Blue Bombers leading the Eskimos 6-0. Second quarter opens with Winnipeg 3rd and 5 at the Edmonton 45, and Bob Cameron punting. Tom Richards lets it go and into the end zone, where he will happily concede a single point. to make the score 7-0. There's a look at Stuart Hill, who leads the CFL with 8 quarterback sacks this season and who has been after Mr. Tom Clements a lot tonight already.
Well, when they get close to the quarterback, but they don't get close enough to be able to take a shot at him after they throw the ball, they still want to let them know that they're close by. Sort of about how you doing.
Yeah, Stu gave Clements just a bit of a shove there afterwards to let him know he was in the vicinity, as if Clements didn't already know. Eskimos have not had any success to speak of moving the football tonight. They'll try from their 35. Flag on the play. Bombers look to be offside as Skinner finds no running room around the left side. James West cutting it off. But Winnipeg appeared to be offside. Bob Bryan is the head referee, and he'll let us know.
Offside, Winnipeg number 35.
Tyrone Jones jumping a little quickly. Neil, if I'm an Edmonton Eskimo, I'm going to feel pretty good about being down 7-0. That first quarter was all Winnipeg.
Well, I think you've got to feel lucky for sure. Their offense is sputtered. They've done some things that have been successful, some quick hitters and passes to the running backs out of the backfield. I think they're going to have to start open up. Their game plan, I'm sure, is a little bit more extensive than that.
That was Winnipeg's third offside of the game. Edmonton first down, over and 5 yards to go. Dunnigan finds Stephon Jones up at the 50-yard line for a gain of 10 and a first down.
Well, that play should start to spread the Winnipeg defense out a bit. That's the first time they've gone downfield with some success. It's against a straight zone. Dunnigan reads it perfectly and throws it to Stephon Jones, who comes back to the ball, makes it easy catch for the quarterback.
Eskimos first and 10 at their 50. There's Stephon Jones, 10 receptions on the season coming into this game. Matt Dunnigan. Here comes pressure. Dunnigan gets the ball off, looking long for Brian Kelly, and he has it down at the Bomber 15-yard line. Roy Bennett has him, but the Eskimos come up with a real breakthrough on offense. A major gain, their first major gain of the football game, and Brian Kelly has gone over the 10,000 mark, I believe, in career passing yardage. We'll check that out.
Joe Farragelli said if they get a helmet on everyone and block people, they will be able to get the ball downfield. That opportunity for Kelly to work one-on-one on Bennett proves out that he can run patterns as he always does and can beat one-on-one situations.
That was a 45-yard gain. Kelly came into the game with 9,991 yards in pass reception yardage, so he has passed the 10,000 mark and only the third player in league history to do it. Tom Scott and Tommy Joe Coffey the others. Eskimos first and 10 at the Bomber 14. Dunnigan over the middle, no good. There's a flag on the play. The Blue Bombers, Scott Flagel, called for pass interference. And now there's another flag after a bit of a ruckus started. So we'll have a roughing play as well. Against who, I don't know.
Well, there's no love lost between these teams. They rather enjoy playing against each other. Nick Bastille, who's playing on a bad ankle, never thought for a moment he wouldn't be healthy and ready to play against the Eskimos. Molly's the same way, and same with Chris Welby. They don't like the Eskimos. They've made it known. I mean, there's nothing to hide. We don't like the guys, and we like to play them, and we like to beat them.
You know, they moved Winnipeg to the Eastern Conference a month ago, Neil, but it'll take more than 4 weeks to separate the Western Division rivalry that has developed between these two teams. And as you say, the dislike to some extent. James West having a conversation and doing a lot of the talking, as is always the case with James. Bob Bryan is going to consult with his officials to see how they're going to sort this out. The Blue Bombers appeared to be called for pass interference. They were all over the intended Edmonton receiver, and then there was a flag after some rough stuff. Mike Riley looking on. What a start for him in his CFL head coaching career, 4-0.
Defensive forward pass interference, Winnipeg number 14. We have rough play ejections, Edmonton number 67 and Winnipeg number 58. And we have unnecessary roughness against Winnipeg 35.
Well, they've thrown Rod Knopp and James West out of the football game. Tyrone Jones got a rough play penalty on top of it. So the Edmonton Eskimos have lost their center. The Blue Bombers have lost one of their outstanding linebackers. He said disqualification, did he not?
I don't think he wants to leave.
I thought he said 67.
Well, he did say disqualification, which means they have to get off the field and into the dressing room.
Don Crick, the backup linebacker for the Blue Bombers, is coming onto the field. James West apparently can't believe what he heard. And maybe Bob Bryan. Well, he couldn't have been mistaken with that call. The Eskimos will have the football, 1st and goal at the Winnipeg 5-yard line when this is all sorted out.
Well, if Conop's ejected from the game, he'll be replaced by Blake Dermott, who started for the Eskimos at center for the last 3 or 4 years. Very solid offensive lineman. They don't lose much, but what they do lose is a backup. With Conop out of the game, they don't have anybody to back up along offensive line now.
Conop has left the field and gone to the Edmonton dressing room. James West will have to do the same, leave the field, I mean, and go to the Winnipeg dressing room. He doesn't like it, but that's the way it is, Mr. West.
Early to the showers. This will affects the defense of Winnipeg. They've got a couple more linebackers, but this hurts them on special teams because he's the #1 tackler on special teams for them and their big play guy.
So as West leaves, the Eskimos have a chance to move in and tie this game. 1st and goal at the Winnipeg 5. Dunnigan fakes, throws into the end zone, and it's no good, and there's a flag on the play. Scott Flagel will be called for interference, as he did not turn around and play the football. He simply ran into the intended receiver.
Winnipeg defensive forward pass interference in the end zone. 1st down and 1.
Well, Scott Flagel reads the short yardage play. Stuart Hill is on the offensive line for one reason, to block, but this is kind of a trick play. He will engage, then slide through to the left side there. Just wait for Dunnigan to throw him the ball. I don't think if Flagel hadn't put his hands out, I don't think they would have called him.
1st and goal, Eskimos at the Bomber 1. Dunnigan keeps, and he's into the end zone. The Eskimos make it 7-6 Winnipeg, and with Dixon's convert, if he makes it, the game will be tied at 7. And again, tempers flare on the field. I don't know, Neil, we didn't get a real close look at that exchange between West and Conop. Do you think maybe Bryan was a little trigger happy in throwing them out of the game?
Well, he doesn't want to let anything get started, but a play like this, regardless of how they get down to the goal line, they executed, they got in the end zone. The game is now going to be tied, and that's important for the Eskimos because they haven't played well to this point, and to get down that close, it's really the way they did it was penalties.
Dixon will attempt the convert. He puts it through, and the game is tied at 7. 2 minutes and 50 seconds into the 2nd quarter. This is Tom Dixon's kickoff after the Edmonton touchdown. It goes out of bounds at the Winnipeg 25-yard line, and the Blue Bombers will undoubtedly ask Dixon to do it over. Eskimos have just scored a Matt Dunnigan touchdown to tie the game at 7. 2 minutes and 50 seconds into the 2nd quarter.
Well, they'll go back into the huddle and say, is the field not wide enough for you, Mr. Dixon? Do we have to make it wider to keep it in bounds?
They don't give those kickers much sympathy, do they, when they kick it out of
No,
bounds
they don't.
like that. Dunnigan has not carried the football much this season. He has not run with it. Only 5 carries coming into this game. And one just a few seconds ago got Edmonton a touchdown.
Well, the way in which he runs is he runs almost like a fullback. He takes such a beating, and he likes to deliver a hit. It's probably better for the Eskimos that he doesn't run as much, and it will stay healthier.
Here's Dixon's 2nd crack at it. He chases Treflin back to the Bomber 13-yard line. And Treflin gets out to about the 33 or 34-yard line. A 20-yard return of the 66-yard kickoff by Tom Dixon.
Be interesting to see if that type of intensity that we saw in the last series continues now with the Eskimos on defense. Like we said, there's no love loss, and if they can get some shots in and make them legal, they will do it, but they will want to stay away from individual battles. Let's do it as a team. Let's not get sidetracked.
The Bombers are 1st and 10 at their 33-yard line. That's Nikaraki in motion. Toss to Willard Reeves, left side. Eskimos don't give Reeves much room again. He'll gain maybe 3 yards off that left side. Tommy Scott holds the CFL record for career touchdown receptions of 88. And via telephone, we are going to be joined by Tom Scott very shortly on our CFN telecast from San Diego. Get his thoughts on how he feels about his ex-roommate Brian Kelly going after his record.
Oh, Tommy will probably say he taught Brian everything he knows.
I'm sure he'll take some credit for it. 2nd down and 7. Bombers at their 36. Clements wants Tuttle, has him at the 46. He steps away from one Edmonton defender, but can't get away from linebacker Larry Ruck. However, he does have a Blue Bomber first down.
Perry Tuttle is as good an inside receiver as there is in the CFL. We've mentioned before he likes to play outside, but his abilities and quickness on the inside really do threaten the defense, because it's moves like this that can give defensive backs and linebackers fits, and he actually makes them miss tackles.
Tom Clements brings the Bombers out at their 45, 1st and 10. And he throws, and it's nearly picked off. It was intended for Nick Araki. Don Wilson, who spent a few days here, was claimed by the Bombers in the Montreal dispersal draft before going to Edmonton, nearly had that one.
Well, his timing was perfect, and he's got a lot of experience. He played with the Buffalo Bills for a while, was their player of the year on special teams. He fits into that defense nicely. He's good size, 6'2", 190, and they like his aggressiveness, the way he moves up and likes to hit people.
Bombers looked at him at cornerback when he was here and didn't feel he could beat out either Bennett or Jefferson. So they released him in Edmonton. Happy to pick him up. Joe Farragelli had him, of course, before Montreal folded. Clements on 2nd and 10. Flags are down. He dumps it off to Pat Kantner, who gets into the Edmonton 53-yard line. Good for a Winnipeg first down, but there are flags on the play.
Winnipeg, number 22, illegal procedure.
Perry Tuttle called for illegal procedure, and he's been called on that a number of times this season.
A little bit jumpy, anxious to get downfield and get to his assignment, but again, that's a discipline penalty. Listen to the counter, watch the football. There's no reason to go offside.
So a first down is wiped out. Tuttle displeased with himself. Winnipeg will have 2nd down over. 15 yards to go at their 40-yard line. 7-7 the score. 5 minutes into the 2nd quarter. Good crowd at Winnipeg Stadium, in the neighborhood of 30,000 we expect, as Tom Clements drops the pass. Zachary and Hill after Clements, who gets it away to Murphy at the Edmonton 52-yard line. That'll be a Winnipeg first down. Tom Clements over the years has done that better than anybody. Run to his left and throw it back.
Vintage Tom Clements. He sets up in a pocket almost like it's designed, and then he peels off to his left. Now, the toughest thing for a quarterback to do when he's right-handed is throw the ball running to his left. He gets his shoulders right around and drops the ball right in the perfect spot for Murphy.
You know, that's just a great play when you have two big guys breathing down your neck and you have the presence of mind to make a play like that. Tom Clements, 1st and 10, Blue Bombers, Edmonton 52. Reeves on a draw, has some room to the 45. And inside of the Edmonton 44-yard line. Larry Ruck, Bass, and Junior Robinson all in on the stop.
Well, it just come back. You're successful in the pass. Why not throw a draw at them? And it's a simple up-the-middle draw, and it takes 2 or 3 Eskimos to bring him down. There's nothing fancy about that play. They use his abilities and get his offensive lineman out on the linebackers and get in the way. Let him pick his way upfield.
Lyle Bauer, the Blue Bombers center, Bastaya, the left guard, Bob Molly, the right guard, Walby, the right tackle, David Black, the left tackle. They have allowed just 7 quarterback sacks this year, the lowest in the CFL. Handoff Reeves, and there's a flag on the play. Reeves has enough for a Winnipeg first down, but there was a penalty flag.
Winnipeg, 13 players.
Blue Bombers had 13 players on the field. If you're unfamiliar with the game, you're only allowed 12. Steve Rhoda Huskers was the 13th man, and he was in there to replace someone, I assume, who didn't come off in a running short yardage type situation.
Well, in short yardage situations, what they sometimes call them are the elephants. They take out the smaller inside receivers and put an offensive lineman or a Stuart Hill defensive lineman type of person in, because they're good coming off the football. Now, in this case, Nick Araki stays in because of his size, but they will replace the other inside receiver, Perry Tuttle, with a lineman, and they cheated. They tried to cheat.
Tried to put 2 of them in. 2nd down and 13, Blue Bombers from center field. And a quick slant into Nick Araki by Clements, and he bulls his way down to the Edmonton 41-yard line, and he will have a Blue Bomber first down or be very close to it. There is a flag on the play, though.
Edmonton, number 92, offside.
James Zachary of the Eskimos was offside. But the Blue Bombers will take the play, I'm sure.
I wondered how long it would take them to start using Nick Araki because of his side inside for quick passes. Even with Danny Bass hanging onto his leg, he still drags him for another 5 yards. not only is he a good receiver, he just doesn't catch balls because of his size. He's got great hands, but his size is just an asset.
Araki in his 9th year out of Bishop's University as they measure to see whether or not he got the first down, and he did. Had only 4 receptions for 33 yards coming into this game, but I'm sure we'll see more of him as the season rolls along. 7-7 the score. 8 minutes 10 seconds left in the second quarter. We're at Winnipeg Stadium, and the Blue Bombers have a 1st and 10 at the Edmonton 42-yard line. Clements for Araki, and Stanley Blair will go all the way unless Clements can catch him, and he can't. Stanley Blair has been close a couple of times tonight, and that time he stepped in front of Nick Araki and took it all the way for the Edmonton touchdown. 69-yarder, and the Eskimos go in front.
That's what you call jumping to the ball and breaking on the ball when it's thrown. They've thrown that plate at them a couple of times, and as you said, Blair has been very close. Knocked it down once and only really had 1 reception in that type, but Clements waits a touch too long. He's holding onto the ball. Araki's out in the flat earlier than that. Should have been thrown. Blair makes that jump, and he's gone.
Well, Tom Clements has thrown a lot of touchdown passes in his career. He's also thrown a lot of interceptions, and when you throw the ball a lot, you'll do that. You don't like to see them go that far back the other way, but 69-yard return by Stanley Blair, and Tom Dixon's convert is good, and the Edmonton Eskimos have taken the lead halfway through the second quarter. Bob Irving and Neil Lumsden back at Winnipeg Stadium. The Eskimos have just gone in front of the Blue Bombers on a Stanley Blair interception return, and we have with us via telephone from his home in San Diego former Edmonton great Tommy Scott. Tom, your thoughts first of all on Brian Kelly's pursuit of your record of 88 career touchdown receptions.
Well, I'm hoping that possibly tonight he'll be able to get that record. It's kind of ironic that I played for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers many years ago and started my touchdown, I guess, legacy back in 1974. So tonight, in an Edmonton uniform, having to break my record, I think it'd be pretty suiting.
Well, Tom, you had a great career, of course. 649 catches, 10,800 plus yards, and 88 touchdowns. You played some of those years with Neil Lumsden. Neil?
Tommy, you had to know he was going to come close if he kept catching as many balls.
Well, you know, Neil, being a roommate and kind of teaching him everything that he knows, I knew someday, as long as he stayed healthy, that he'd catch a couple of records. And having Red here, you know, I mean, he had everything to do to break a record.
Well, he wanted me to say that he misses having you up here to run with.
Oh, you're right. I used to love to run in the off season, but I tell you, the weather's great. I'm happy that I'm not playing anymore, and when you get a chance, Neil, we'd love to have you down here in San Diego.
Tom, what are you doing now?
I work for a furniture company by the name of Furnishings 2000, and I'm managing a distribution center.
Tom, thanks for joining us from San Diego. We wish you well in your future endeavors, and we'll see you at the Hall of Fame some year.
Well, I hope so, Bob. And listen, if Brian does break it tonight, Neil, please shake his hand for me, okay?
You bet I will, Tommy. Take care.
Okay, thank you.
Tom Scott, who has enjoyed a great career in the Canadian Football League with Winnipeg, Edmonton, and Calgary, most of it in Edmonton. And he spent some time with Brian Kelly with us via telephone. We saw the Winnipeg Blue Bombers run a couple of plays and be forced into a punting situation while we were talking to Scott. It was a good punt by Bob Cameron. And Tom Richards is unable to bring it back any distance, and the Edmonton Eskimos will have the football at their 25-yard line as they enjoy a 14-7 lead with 6.5 minutes left in the second quarter.
Well, if Brian Kelly gets a few more situations out wide in a one-on-one or a man-to-man situation, he will break that record today.
I've often wondered how players who hold records really feel when others close in on them. You know, deep down inside, you don't want to see your record broken, but you have to understand, I guess, that it's inevitable and face it. Dunnigan throws up to the 40-yard line for Kelly. Did he catch it? There's a flag on the play. Benny Thompson is ruling that he didn't. But Benny does not have jurisdiction to make that call. Bob Bryan does.
Legal procedure, Edmonton number 70.
Brian Kelly is called for a legal procedure.
Well, he wanted to come off the ball a little bit more this week. He's not lining up exactly on the line of scrimmage because last week He got handled by the cornerbacks. They got on him too quickly and didn't allow him to get downfield. So that cushion, you can call it cheating a bit, worked against them this time.
Well, they march 5 yards against the Eskimos. They'll have the first down over. 15 yards to go. From their 21-yard line, they lead 14-7. Matt Dunnigan back to pass. Hassan Abubakar coming with a rush. Dunnigan goes long for Stephon Jones. He's open at the 45. Will James Jefferson catch him? No, sir. Jones goes all the way. So in a span of a couple of minutes, the Eskimos get back-to-back big plays and go in front 20-7.
As you saw, it doesn't matter how you get it in the end zone, whether it's Brian Kelly or Stephon Jones. They're just as happy to get it by the goal line.
89 yards.
This is just outright speed and running by somebody. Thompson or Bennett happened to slip, but there's no way they're going to catch him. And we talked about the Winnipeg defense dictating. I think now the offense of the Eskimos are starting to do the things they did earlier on in the season. And he's going to watch this, and he says, away you go, Stephon Jones.
Creating a little breeze to help Jones into the end zone. Brian Kelly. Tom Dixon is on to add the convert. And he does, and the Edmonton Eskimos have jumped out to a 21-7 lead with 5 minutes 44 seconds left in the second quarter. Bob Cameron's third down punt is a beauty. Richards at the Edmonton 9. And he gets it up to the 13, and that's all, as Tyrone Jones gets downfield to cover that 49-yard punt and hold the return to 4 yards. A minute 42 the time left in the first half. Edmonton leading 21-14. Mike Riley told us, Neil, that Clements would sprint out a lot more. We wouldn't find him in the pocket that much. I'm a little surprised. We have found him in the pocket quite a bit.
Well, we only saw him really peel out of that pocket, a design play, when he threw that running to his left, threw that great pass to Tuttle over the middle. But you're right, he is setting up an awful lot.
Matt Dunnigan brings the Eskimos out at their 13-yard line. Hands off Milson Jones left side. Abubakar can't get him, and Jones breaks it out to the 25, an 11-yard run, and an Edmonton first down.
Well, Milson Jones used to be a Winnipeg Blue Bomber, and he really enjoyed playing here, but when he found he couldn't run out of the halfback spot because he was Canadian, got a little upset. He enjoys coming back and playing against the Bombers.
Eskimos first and 10 at their 25-yard line. Dunnigan rolls right and throws complete to Brian Kelly, and he's out to the 40-yard line. He'll have a gain of about 14 yards on the play.
Well, Brian is as effective short as he is deep, and he comes off the ball and pushes and makes just a sharp little cut to the outside. Now he tries to split the defensive backs. You never know, one might get lazy, and he could pop that up for a long one.
Kelly went over the 10,000-yard mark in career passing yardage earlier in this game. Dunnigan on first down, puts it up looking for Sinkar, and he dives at the Winnipeg 45, but can't get to the football, as Darrell Sampson was with him every step of the way. A minute 2 remaining now in the first half. Eskimos leading 21-14. Looking for just a bit more before the half ends.
Well, Matt looks pretty well protected. He's got rib pads on. He's got special shoulder pads that protect his back in case he's blindsided. He's really taken a beating in his short career in the CFL, and I think, as you said earlier, he hasn't run as much, and that's maybe the reason. We have to keep Matt Dunnigan healthy.
He's only 26 years old, but you're right, Neil. It's had a rough ride, and he's got an open man. Sinkar at the 45. 2 Bombers bounce off him. Crick will run Sinkar down at the 13-yard line. The Blue Bombers guilty of some very sloppy tackling, and the Eskimos get another big play.
Well, oftentimes defensive backs go for the big hit instead of tackling, and in this situation, Sinkar comes back, turns around, makes a nice catch, but they want to lay the big hit on somebody. They want to be spectacular instead of wrapping them up, and they knock each other off right here. No one wraps their arms around Sinkar. He pops off, keeps his balance, and away he goes, and gets a nice block by Stephon Jones.
57-yard gain. James Jefferson, the corner, is the man who bounced off Sinkar. The Eskimos at the Bomber 13-yard line. Dunnigan throws for Kelly. Complete at the 4. He's brought down right there by Roy Bennett. But he has the Eskimos very close to a first down with 36 seconds left in the half. And Edmonton leading by 7. We'll have a measurement.
Well, if there aren't too many receivers when they get down close can smell the goal line, This is one of them. He comes inside Tom Richards, who really does what we could call a pick play.
Yeah, we could.
It's not legal, so we can't call it a pick play. We'll call it a scrape. Comes inside, and the ball has to throw right on the money as soon as Kelly makes the break off the back of Richards.
Brian Kelly is having a good night. He has not scored a touchdown. He remains one behind Tom Scott, one short of tying Scott for the all-time CFL pass receiving touchdown record of 88. Eskimos second down and a yard at the Bomber 3. Dunnigan keeps pushing forward, looking for the first down with 20 seconds remaining in the half.
Well, this drive started with the Eskimos in their end, looking like they might just be satisfied to hang on to the football, run the clock out, and not give it back to the Bombers. And 2 big plays gets them down in scoring position. I guess it goes to prove you should never back off. You should always be aggressive on offense.
They'll measure again. That's Rob Prodanovic. He came in at nose tackle, and Mikowas was shaken up a little bit earlier. It is first down for the Eskimos. The football is at the Blue Bomber 2-yard line. Mikowas is back in. The Bombers have their defensive group in that they hope will be effective at stopping the Eskimos along the ground. The clock is running. Dunnigan hands off Milson Jones, and he's in for the touchdown. The Eskimos increase their lead to 27-14 with Tom Dixon upcoming to add the convert.
Usually expect that short yardage led by 2 big running backs, Johnstone and Skinner, to go up inside. But Milson Jones in his good feet pops it inside and then slides laterally, finds a hole, and gets up inside Johnstone.
Milson Jones scores his 3rd touchdown of the season. And the Eskimos, who put back-to-back scores together earlier in this quarter, very close together to take the lead by 14 points, have regained their 14-point lead with 9 seconds left in the first half.
Well, Milson Jones grew up in Jamaica and played an awful lot of soccer, and he thinks that's one of the reasons he can run with the football so well. At least that's what we keep asking him, and he keeps saying his ability to move his feet quickly on the ground and not take big steps. He's got those quick feet like a boxer, or some boxers.
Yes. That was some drive by the Eskimos in the final 2 minutes of this half. Very impressive.
Looked like they did earlier on in the season when they exploded for some points early and then backed off. A classic example is the first time they met the Ticats. A lot of points early, and offensively they backed off a little bit, and it proved to hurt them the next time they played the Ticats.
Blue Bombers have only lost 2 of their last 28 regular season home games. They've won 26 of their last 28 regular season games at home. But right now, they're in a spot trailing 28-14. Jeff Treflin with the Dixon kickoff. And he's hit at the 35-yard line. Junior Robinson. Good play downfield to cover that kick return and start Treflin down to the turf. 15-yard return, that's all. So with 3 seconds left in the first half, we'll see if Tom Clements will put it up long and hope for a break on this last play. Sincar was shaken up, took a shot in the ribs, but he's okay. Looked like he ran out of gas on that 57-yard run to me, Neil. He's not used to running that far.
That's a long way.
Yeah. And Clements will hand off to Reeves on the final play of the first half. Willard is up to the 49-yard line and puts 14 more yards onto his stats as the first half ends. And what a second quarter we saw. The Eskimos will take a 14-point lead to their dressing room.
After a sluggish start, these two teams have revved it up in the second quarter. 36 points were scored as they opened up the offenses. My buddy Matt Dunnigan, he looked good with that 1-yard plunge and then the 89-yard pass and run to Stephon Jones. Getting that score with 9 seconds left in the half by Milson Jones, that was huge. Edmonton leads by 14, the third quarter up next.
The statistical story from the first half of our football game, and the Edmonton Eskimos again with that big second quarter showing a domination of almost 100 yards in passing and again nearly 100 yards in net offense. Lots of penalties, 10 to Winnipeg, 7 to the Eskimos, 2 turnovers each. But the 1 turnover by Winnipeg resulting in the Stanley Blair touchdown, a 69-yard interception return. And the Eskimos are 14 up on the Blue Bombers, and that's unusual position for Winnipeg here at home.
Well, not only do the football players now want to see AstroTurf come into Winnipeg Stadium, but a few of the fans realize how tough it can be on the players. And if they ever win a Western final or Eastern final now here, the fans don't want to run on and jump around on AstroTurf because they know they can get burned too.
Now there's a lot of talk in Winnipeg about the installation of artificial turf at Winnipeg Stadium, perhaps by as early as next year. Whether or not it comes to pass, we'll have to wait and see, but I would think there's a very good possibility. The players, of course, don't want it, and some of the fans don't either.
AstroTurf is great to play on if you're a quick running back type because the footing is so good, but it can hurt you in the long run.
Eskimos kick off to start the second half, and Jeff Treflin will try to get wide to the left, and he's dumped heavily at the Bomber 40-yard line. Stanley Blair was in on that tackle, and there may be doubts sometimes about who a quarterback will be for certain teams in this league after a signal caller has had perhaps not an outstanding half or quarter of football, but you won't see this man, Tom Clements, pulled unless the situation is totally disastrous.
Or he gets injured, and it's strange that Mike Riley doesn't even think about putting Tom Mickey in regardless of the situation.
Well, if he got injured, that would be rated totally disastrous by the Blue Bombers, and Clements will not get this pass off on the first offensive play of the second half for the Blue Bombers. He is sacked.
Well, they like to get pressure from their down 4, and if they can do it without blitzing, that's perfect because it gives everyone a help in coverage. And Tune comes inside even after getting his shirt tugged on a little bit and makes the sack. He gets Black going to the outside, makes a quick move to the inside.
Loss of 7 yards. Tom Tune sacking Tom Clements. There's Damon Allen, who's warming up. Blue Bombers second down and 17 at their 33-yard line. 4-man Edmonton rush. Clements sprinting away from it, and he'll get the ball away looking for Boyd, and this one's picked off. Ronnie Howard at the 39. There is a flag on the play. He's back to center field, his second interception of the game, but there was a flag.
Holding Winnipeg number 51, declined, first down.
I saw David Black hook Tom Tune, as they say, as Clements rolled left. The penalty against Black. Edmonton declines and takes the football.
Well, coming into this game, Tom Clements had only thrown 5 interceptions, and there's that drop back and peel to the left. Was successful the last time they run it to Tuttle. This time he underthrows Boyd. Good coverage. Howard closes in on after the ball's thrown, and it's an easy interception.
Third interception of the night by the Eskimos. They had only 3 all season after 4 games, so they've doubled their season output of interceptions tonight, and that's one of the things Joe Farraghelli was looking for and has received from his football team. Milson Jones shaken up on that first down run by Skinner, which netted the Eskimos 5 yards.
Well, I'm sure they'd like to try to establish that running game with Chris Skinner, Chris Johnstone, Blake Marshall, who's dressed tonight in a backup role at halfback and fullback, and Milson Jones. They have the ability to run the football, whether it be a sweep or inside, and I think they'd like to establish that now. Up by 14 points. Let's control the football. Let's eat that clock up.
Milson Jones appears to have twisted his neck on that play, and he will leave the field. And we'll have a few words for one of the Blue Bombers, it looks like. Again, 2 players were thrown out early in the second quarter. James West, a linebacker for the Blue Bombers, and Rod Conniff, the starting center for Edmonton, were ejected for a fistic exchange early in the second quarter. Edmonton 2nd and 5. Dunnigan throws, no good. Pass interference called on Benny Thompson, who got to Skinner before the football did. And again, we have pushing and shoving, underlining how these 2 teams feel about one another.
Well, I'm sure Dunnigan said that's a bit of a cheap shot. You can come up and hit somebody from behind, but players don't like to see somebody go for the knees, especially when they're vulnerable from behind.
Here's Winnipeg number 37, first down.
Benny Thompson is called for interference.
Skinner just goes out into the flat. Dunnigan sees him open, but that almost looks like an intentional knockdown or a cut block before the ball's even there.
And the referees were right there to call it. Eskimos 1st and 10, Bomber 45, handoff up the middle, and Johnstone finds little running room. Mikowas and Michael Gray in on the stop, and Gray doing a little finger pointing on the play. Gray and Arbu Bakar, the defensive ends for the Blue Bombers. Mikowas, the nose tackle. The linebackers, Fowler, Jones, Patterson, and the rookie, the Canadian rookie, Don Crick, replacing West. And their secondary has Jefferson and Bennett on the corners, Thompson and Sampson the halfbacks, and Scott Flagel the safety. Darrell Patterson looking to the sidelines for a defensive signal. The Eskimos 2nd and 10, Bomber 45. Dunnigan has time, throws for Sinkar, and he can't get to it down at the Winnipeg 20-yard line. Neil, the Blue Bombers, to me, haven't blitzed the way we have seen them in the first 4 games.
Well, they have blitzed. We're just not seeing them come free like they did against Calgary, and that's a credit to the work that Gary Durchik, the offensive line coach, has done with the offensive line, and Steve Goldman, the backfield coach, with the backs. They know the system. They've seen all the film they can. They know what they can. There's only so many defenses and ways to blitz, and they've got them pretty well covered to this point.
They've done an excellent job tonight of slowing down that Winnipeg pass rush. Dunnigan has stood back there on a number of occasions and had all kinds of time. 3rd down and 10, Eskimos. Bomber 45. Dixon into punt. And he gets a wobbly kick away to Sampson at the 2-yard line. Nearly dropped it. Sampson across the 10 and out to the 17-yard line. We are 2 minutes and 50 seconds into the second half at Winnipeg Stadium. 3rd down and about 8 or 9. Eskimos at their 23.5-yard line. Dixon is in the punt. Bombers have had good pressure on Dixon all night. They're coming after this one, but he gets it away. It's another fairly low kick, but it chases Treflin back to the 35. And he gets up across the 45 of the Eskimos, or the Bombers, pardon me, and out to about the 47 or 48.
Well, Treflin, an ex-Eskimo, I'm sure, is just saying hi to all his buddies as he heads back to the bench.
51-yard punt, 11-yard return. And the Blue Bombers start from there, 45. They trail 28-14 with 8:04 left in the 3rd quarter. No scoring in the second half. Eskimos scored all 28 of their points in the 2nd quarter. Tom Clements not having a vintage night. Handing off to Willard Reeves on a draw play. And Reeves will have 2 or 3 yards.
I think Tom Clements understands he's got plenty of time. He's got 7 minutes left in the 3rd quarter and the whole 4th quarter to get these points back. And as any quarterback should understand, you don't have to do it all in one play. Let's take some time, do what we've been doing well, the shorter patterns, and let's be successful that way.
Our cameras will follow right guard Bob Molly of the Bombers in this play, and then we'll show you what he did on 2nd down and 8. Clements in the pocket over the middle. Tuttle's open at the 50-yard line. Perry Tuttle trying to string this out, but he'll go down with Stanley Blair making the stop down at the Edmonton 51. It'll be a 1st down. The Blue Bombers gain 11 on the play. Molly was pass blocking that time.
He certainly was. The silver medalist in the '84 Olympics in wrestling has his hands full with Mitchell, but if Mitchell's not going to give him a move, it's all Molly's strength, and that's what he does there. He gets his seat low and just absorbs the impact. Lots of time for Clements to throw.
Clements again in the pocket, found Tuttle wide open, and on 1st down, Clements looking for James Murphy. Has the football, but he's out of bounds at the Edmonton 42-yard line. And again, we don't see Tom Clements moving that pocket and sprinting out as often as we thought we would, based on what Mike Riley, the Bomber head coach, told us he was looking for tonight.
Well, the man they call Hector the Protector, left offensive tackle, a native of St. Catharines, is a big part of that Eskimo offensive line and one of the reasons they are successful today.
2nd down and 10. Blue Bombers at the Edmonton 51-yard line. Clements again in the pocket. Looks for Tuttle, and he's hit just as the ball gets there at the 31 by Don Wilson. Tuttle arguing for a penalty flag. I think that's just good defense.
Well, it is good defense. The Eskimos are dropping into a zone, and the receivers have to find that gap in between the defensive backs. Wilson jumps quickly when the ball's thrown, and I'm wondering if that ball is just up in the air a little bit too long, because the defensive backs have plenty of time to react.
Well, as everybody knows, Clements doesn't have a gun for an arm. He relies on timing, and that time the timing just a bit off. And Wilson with good coverage, and the Bombers have to punt on 3rd and 10 from the Edmonton 51. A flag on the play. No yards is going to be called against the Blue Bombers, I believe. 36-yard kick by Cameron. Richards brings it back a couple of yards. Bob Bryan is the referee.
No yards. Number 54, Winnipeg.
That's the rookie linebacker Don Crick called for no yards. Again, he replaced James West early in the second when West was thrown out along with Rod Conniff. Mike Riley, Bomber head coach, has yet to taste defeat.
It's a situation he hasn't been in yet this year, and interesting to see how he reacts. He seems to keep his cool well on the sidelines. I think that'll be important.
Dunnigan hits Skinner, and Benny Thompson has Skinner and brings him down at the 37-yard line. Gain of 4 or 5 for the Eskimos. Skinner playing to the east side fans here at Winnipeg Stadium after that tackle. Thompson playing to those fans. 5.5 minutes left. Third quarter. Eskimos in front of Winnipeg. 28-14. Matt Dunnigan has gone all the way at quarterback, and on 2nd and 5 he drops back to pass. Pressure comes. He gets the ball off. It's a wobbler, and it's intercepted by James Jefferson at the Bomber 30-yard line. And Jefferson is up and running with the football. The play was not whistled dead, and he will take it out of bounds or be knocked down near the out-of-bounds marker by Milson Jones. But the Blue Bombers get a turnover.
Well, that ball didn't have the zip on it that it would normally have had, because Matt Dunnigan was hit from behind just as he released the football. It floats up. Marco Sincar's backing in almost like he's trying to adjust to the ball being thrown off the pattern route. And now we've got what you have here is 2 receivers in the same area, which brings 2 defensive backs. The old tip drill right into his hands. Jefferson turns around and the battle continues. Here's a blitz. Benny Thompson gets a shot at the quarterback. You don't think he's into this game? Boy, he's been fired up ever since he got the game started.
One of the few times tonight the Bombers have put heat on Matt Dunnigan. James Jefferson beaten for that long touchdown to Stephon Jones. Extracts some revenge with an interception, and the Bombers have a 1st and 10 at their 31. Clements has Reeves all alone out here. Reeves to the 35 and gets up to the 39 for a gain of 8.
Something Don Southern was looking for out of his defensive backs right from training camp are a group of 5 people that will come up and close down the run on guys like Willard Reeves. And they are literally throwing their bodies around. Stanley Blair, who isn't very big, is just flying up there, and that aggressiveness is what they've been looking for.
2nd down and a couple. Blue Bombers at their 39-yard line. That's Perry Tuttle in motion to the left. Nikaraki moves left and comes back. The toss goes to Reeves. William Mitchell has him, but Reeves gets across the 40 and will be close to the 1st down. Danny Bass moved up. So did Ron Howard and Junior Robinson. Eskimos have been tough defensively tonight, and this one will require a measurement.
Danny Bass is looking forward to playing tonight. He likes to play against good running backs. He gets into the game a little bit earlier, gets the good shots and the good hits. He was really pumped for this game, and he feels if they can make Willard Reeves hit in the hole and bounce a little bit wide, they can take his style of running game away.
Reeves only got 2 yards on that play, but he got just enough for a Blue Bomber 1st down at the Winnipeg 41-yard line. Would you say the Eskimos are playing like a proud team that has lost 2 games in a row and doesn't want to make it 3?
Well, there's no question. They realize it's important, whether Winnipeg's in the Western Conference or not. This rivalry and just beating a good football team is what they need.
There's that hitch screen to James Murphy, and it was well covered by Wilson, who forced Murphy to the outside, and Stanley Blair came up to make the hit. Bombers will gain 3 on it, but Edmonton would be pleased to hold it to that.
Well, we've seen the Crick screen twice so far tonight, and this is the 3rd time they've run it. Murphy's waiting for someone to get a kick-out block, and he's got to do it as on his own. Gets that sideline, and Stanley Blair, as he has been so active tonight, comes up and lays a good lick on Murphy to knock him out of bounds.
He had to beat the 1st man, Wilson, and he couldn't. It'll be 2nd down and 7. Bombers at their 44. 3 minutes, 20 seconds left, 3rd quarter. Clements finally throws, and Tuttle is wide open at the Edmonton 50, down at the 48-yard line. That'll be a gain of 18 yards and a Blue Bomber 1st down.
The Eskimos are getting good pressure just bringing their front 4. They seem to be getting a little bit of confusion along the offensive line in Winnipeg when people slide. Clements, being the quarterback, the smart quarterback that he is, steps up in an open area, throws the ball into the middle of Tuttle, and we haven't seen much of him since that one good pass over the middle in the 2nd quarter.
Bombers 1st and 10, Edmonton 48. Clements fakes, and now he goes long for Jeff Boyd, who had his man beaten and gets it at the 15-yard line. Safety Junior Robinson of the Eskimos seemed to misjudge that football as he got over to help out with the cornerback, but misjudged it, and Boyd came up with a catch.
Well, Clements has most of his motion going right, and he looks right, then quickly looks left and pump fakes because Boyd gave an outside move. Now Boyd lifts up inside. It looks like Robinson was just going to come across and pick that off and go down the sidelines. Boyd just snatched it away from him.
So the Blue Bombers trailing 28-14 are 1st and 10 at the Edmonton 11-yard line. Clements in the pocket and into the end zone, and it's no good. Intended for Tuttle. Tony was there, so was Ron Howard. And Tom Clements flips his helmet up, and I would imagine is thankful that that one was not picked off.
Well, he's throwing into coverage. It's awfully tight in that end zone when you move to the sidelines and you have two receivers very close to each other. As I said, that draws the defensive backs, and it's tough to get a reception. It's awfully crowded in that area.
Clements' numbers in terms of yards and percentage of completion respectable, but those interceptions have been very costly. He sprints right now, does Clements, on 1st and 10 from the 11, throws, touchdown! James Murphy all alone in the end zone, and the sprint out gave Clements the time he needed to find an open receiver, and James Murphy was wide open.
Well, it's a great play by Murphy to come back inside and give him help. But the reason this play gets outside is because they tie up Stuart Hill. He doesn't get off the line of scrimmage. Clements gets to the outside untouched. Murphy just slides back underneath the coverage and beats Blair.
11-yard touchdown pass. Tom Clements to James Murphy. 3rd touchdown of the season for Murphy. And for Clements, his 10th touchdown pass. We have 1:37 left in the 3rd quarter. Here at Winnipeg Stadium, we have 1.5 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. Winnipeg Blue Bombers have just scored. A Tom Clements to James Murphy 11-yard touchdown pass. It's Edmonton 28, Winnipeg 21, and Trevor Kennard kicks off to Stephon Jones. And he was tripped up at the 40-yard line by Daryl Sampson as we look at Joe Faragelli, the man they call Pops.
And they call him that affectionately, mind you. There's certainly nothing against his age, but he's got to be happy the way his offense is performing. The first time since he's taken the team over, he's looked like the Eskimos of old.
Matt Dunnigan again has gone all the way at quarterback for Edmonton, and he'll start this drive from his 40. And the handoff is sniffed out by Hassan Arbubakar. Chris Skinner is tackled for no gain or a loss of a couple of yards. Matt Dunnigan on 2nd and 13 throws over the middle, and it's complete. That's Howlett, and he may go all the way. Tom Richards, pardon me. Tom Richards beating Daryl Sampson on an inside post pattern, and the Eskimos get yet another big play.
A tremendous read by Matt Dunnigan. After taking the ball from the center, he realizes Scott Flagel is coming on a blitz. The middle is wide open, and Tom Richards makes the adjustment to the inside, runs his pattern right up the middle, and beats Benny Thompson.
I apologize to Tom Richards and all his friends and family for misidentifying him. That's the kind of play you don't want anybody not to see. And Dunnigan throws a beautiful pass. Benny Thompson can't catch up with him. Again, it was Thompson and not Daryl Sampson who he beat on the play. Dixon adds the convert, and with 37 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter, the Eskimos again have that 14-point lead, 35-21.
Well, it goes back to what Joe Faragelli said at the beginning. If you can take advantage of what they're doing and their strengths, we can pop a big play. And if Matt Dunnigan doesn't read it, it's a sack. He reads it and releases the ball perfectly to Tom Richards.
That's the 3rd touchdown of the year for Tom Richards. And Tom Clements, who had brought the Bombers or helped bring them back within 7, is once again faced with 14 points to make up before his team is even.
I'm wondering if he's got a problem with that wrist or the thumb, because he's got an ice pack. Won't affect his throwing, but it may affect taking the ball from the center, because that'll be the bottom hand. That's where the pressure is taken when the snap comes up.
And that was Tom Mickey behind Clements on the phone upstairs, so there's a chance we'll see Mickey as the Eskimos kick off after the 72-yard Dunnigan to Richards touchdown pass. This is Ken Winey, who returned one all the way for a touchdown in the first half. He's tripped up as he moved across the Winnipeg 35 and got it up near the 40-yard line. And it's Tom Mickey coming into the game to quarterback the Blue Bombers.
Well, we said earlier it would take an injury to get Tom Clements out of the game because Mike Riley is a one-quarterback coach, and unfortunately he's injured a wrist, and Tom Mickey will take over.
Tom Mickey has been here. This is his second year. He has played very, very little. He's from Baylor. Played a fair bit in the 2 preseason games, but in terms of regular season experience, almost nil. And he wants tunnel long on his first play of this game, and he's intercepted by Don Wilson, who goes out of bounds at the Edmonton 28.5-yard line, but with the football in his possession, and the Bombers have committed yet another turnover.
Well, being a bit of a green quarterback, he might try to force a ball into an area where he thinks the reception can be made, and he sprints out, he gets outside. Again, they do a good job on Stuart Hill. He's got plenty of time. He sees down the sidelines. If he laid it out far enough, Murphy would have a chance, but did a great job of forcing him to the outside.
And here's another look at the Blue Bombers' backup quarterback. They still have 2 other quarterbacks in camp, Brad Taylor and Mike Kelly. Pass for Stephon Jones. Got through a couple of Bomber defenders and gives Edmonton a 15 or 16-yard game, and that play concludes the third quarter.
Eskimos looking good after 3 quarters of play. With Winnipeg, they're in a whole bunch of trouble because of that wrist injury suffered by star quarterback Tommy Clements. Tom Mickey, his replacement, he gets picked off on his first play by Don Wilson. Wilson was an underrated player in this league, a former teammate of mine in Toronto. Wilson played some great football, especially when he changed his positions from a defensive back to a cover linebacker later in his football career. The fourth quarter is coming up right here on ESPN Classic Canada.
Back at Winnipeg Stadium, the fourth quarter opens with Edmonton 1st and 10 at their own 45-yard line. Matt Dunnigan gets away from the Bomber rush and gets up for a good gain out of bounds at the Bomber 48-yard line. Dunnigan for a 17-yard ramble.
First time we've seen Matt roll out of the pocket and run. He was forced out by Tyrone Jones, made a nice little move, peels to the outside and takes it downfield.
You know, I think an illustration, Neil, of how he's changed as a quarterback is that coming into this game, he'd only carried the football 5 times. And in past years, that would be one game and sometimes one half.
The doctors and trainer taking a very close look at the left wrist of Tom Clements. I'm sure he's frustrated by the way the game's going, but this will just add to the frustration.
Eskimos at the Bomber 48, 1st and 10. Dunnigan swings it out to Milson Jones. And he gets down near the 40-yard line before Jefferson and Flegel bring him down. Gain of 7 for Milson Jones and the Edmonton Eskimos, who lead the Blue Bombers 35-21. Scott Flegel, all-Canadian safety in the CFL last year. And Mike Riley, as head coach, says off to a terrific start in 87. 2nd and 3, Eskimos at the Bomber 40. Skinner hit by Gray, but he spins off, gets close to the first down, and there was a flag on the play.
Legal procedure, number 63, Edmonton. Take it back.
Hector Pothier, there he is, called for a legal procedure. 33-year-old, 10-year vet.
He can't believe it either. One of the reasons Hector plays the left tackle is he has a hearing problem in his left ear, so the only way he can be effective is you can see when he's in the huddle, he even has to turn his head. So he's one of the people who does have to watch the football on the snap.
A lot of penalties in the game. The Bombers with a slight edge that I'm sure they don't like. Dunnigan going long for Brian Kelly, and Kelly no, he doesn't either. I thought he brought it in, but he couldn't squeeze it. Good coverage by Roy Bennett down near the Bomber 10-yard line. Brian Kelly has not scored a touchdown tonight, but he has passed the 10,000-yard mark in career receiving yardage.
Brian just a straight route down the side, but what's interesting is if he had caught the ball, he still had 1 foot in bounds.
He has an uncanny knack to get down inbound. I don't know how those receivers do that. You know exactly where they are. Third down and 8.
Excuse me, Bennett has to feel good after that play. It's one of the few times they've been able to shut him down in a one-on-one situation.
3rd and 8 Eskimos at the Bomber 45 with 13 minutes 15 seconds left in the game, and Edmonton leading by 14. Dixon's punt will bounce and go out of bounds at the Bomber 20-yard line. So with just over 13 minutes to go, the Blue Bombers have a long way to come back. It was 28-14 Edmonton at halftime. The Blue Bombers scored late in the 3rd quarter. Tom Clements to James Murphy to pull within 7. But the Eskimos came right back. A 72-yard Dunnigan to Tom Richards touchdown pass. And with 13:09 left in the 4th quarter, it's 35-21 Edmonton. And Tom Clements, after going out for one series with an injury to his left wrist or arm, is back in the game. And there's Dunnigan, who's gone all the way. What about Joe Faragelli's promise that we'd see Damon Allen? He's in a situation, obviously, where Dunnigan is playing well, and he just can't take him out.
Well, it's tough. He's got a hot hand, and he's doing things so well and reading defenses so well, it'd be a mistake to take him out.
Clements, shovel pass. And was it intercepted? I believe the Eskimos intercepted that little shovel pass. Yes, they did. We'll see who got up from the bottom of the pile and picked off that shovel pass, which worked effectively for a good gain. Earlier in the game, Lloyd Mumphrey, who was activated and took Gizmo Williams' spot on the roster, comes up with the ball.
Well, that old shovel pass, James Zachary's pushing back deep into the backfield. He doesn't take either side on his offensive man, just keeps forcing him back. Willard Reeves had nowhere to go when the ball was pitched forward.
And it was Zachary 92, not Mumphrey 93. Regardless, the Eskimos have a first down at the Bomber 11. Dunnigan throws to an open Sincar, and he'll get down to the 1-yard line of the Blue Bombers, where he may have an Edmonton first down.
One of the reasons that the Bombers were so successful in their first 4 games is because they turned the ball over very few times and made the opposition turn the ball over. And that was the death of them tonight, because when they turn the ball over, sometimes it's not only just a turnover, but it's turned into an interception. And that's one thing that was really a curse for the Eskimos to this point. So really the roles have reversed.
5 turnovers by Winnipeg, all interceptions, 4 of them by Clements. Eskimos first and goal at the Winnipeg 1. Dunnigan keeps, and he's into the end zone. Dunnigan has his 2nd touchdown of the night, and the Eskimos go in front 41-21 with 12 minutes left in the 4th quarter.
Well, you need some momentum on the field, but there's nothing like a big, strong offensive line to blow the defensive line back, and that's exactly what they did. It's a thankless job when you end up in your face with everyone piled on your back, but it's a good feeling when you know you're in for 6.
It has been quite an evening for Matthew Dunnigan. And he will hold for Tom Dixon on this convert attempt that would give the Eskimos a rather pleasant 42-21 lead, a 21-point cushion. James Zachary picked off that Clements shovel pass to set up that touchdown.
Hey, he not only picked off a pass, but he's in Edmonton. He's getting ready to release a single. He's quite a good singer. He sings in clubs often in Edmonton, and he's very, very talented. And now he tries to turn into a running back. Can't let these guys get the big head when they get the football, though. It's once in a while, it's fine. But.
Well, to be coming up the middle and see the quarterback flip a little shovel pass that lands in your midsection has to be a rather delightful turn of events. That's Bob Molly, the Blue Bombers' right offensive guard. A grim-looking bunch are the Blue Bombers. And the score would tell you why. Edmonton 41, Winnipeg 21, and that has certainly silenced the 29,000 plus at Winnipeg Stadium.
Well, everyone right now is trying to figure out what they did wrong, how they could have changed things earlier on in the game to have swung the momentum to their favor so they could have scored points. Remember, they had the ball twice down in the Eskimo end and had to come away with field goals twice. That could have been the difference.
Ken Winey has a long touchdown or kickoff return for a touchdown to his credit tonight, but he won't bring this one back. He ran one back 92 yards in the 2nd quarter for a major, but the Eskimos keep him under control, and Tom Clements will come back out with the Winnipeg offense. Clements has given his arm a good workout tonight, but 4 interceptions have spoiled his evening's work up to this stage, while Matt Dunnigan is closing in on 400 yards passing. Bombers at their 49. Handoff. Willard Reeves. He trips as he takes the ball and stumbles for a gain of a yard.
Well, the intensity hasn't let down. All through the game, we've seen these little battles occur on special teams, along the defensive and offensive line. And I'm sure now the Bombers are going to get even chippier because they're behind. Not used to this situation. It's been a while since they've been, or potentially could have lost a football game, and I'm sure they don't like it.
A grim-looking Mike Riley. Not all the fans are down in the mouth here at Winnipeg Stadium. 2nd and 9, Blue Bombers at their 50. Tom Clements back to pass. Has some time and finds Tuttle at the Edmonton 40. He's down to the 35-yard line. Clements hits Tuttle for a gain of 25.
Nifty little move there, anticipating that he's going to be hit after he comes back to the football. Turns to the outside. Anticipation. There you go, right there. That's the type of effort that breaks long passes into touchdowns.
Well, he won't throw the ball much better than that either. Tuttle finding that opening, and Clements putting it right on the money. 1st and 10 at the Edmonton 35 for the Blue Bombers. Clements to the sideline, knocked away. Stanley Blair intended for Jeff Boyd. And Blair was a step away from the Eskimos' 6th interception of this football game.
Well, whatever they had seen in films this week about Stanley Blair, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers should think a little bit differently now, because not only has he played the run so well, but he's closed in on the receivers and read the quarterback's eyes and made a jump every time the ball's been released.
You know, they worked him over in the first quarter with some effectiveness, Neil, but Stanley Blair has more than held his own tonight. Clements throws complete. Jeff Boyd steps out of bounds. Edmonton 25-yard line, very close to a Blue Bomber first down with 10:03 left in the 4th quarter. And Edmonton ahead by 21 points.
This is the same play they opened the football game with. What they're trying to do is they send everyone left. That leaves Boyd on the right-hand side. Clements makes it like he's going to sprint left, opens to his right. Now the defensive back will have a tendency to back off, thinking that possibly the play and the momentum and the shift is going to go left. Gets up to the 10-yard and makes a cut, and it's going to be very close to a first down.
Ken Plain, who guested with us in the 3rd quarter, suggested that the Bombers, in his opinion, got away from the things offensively that worked in the 1st quarter. And that was the short passing game. And on this drive, Clements has gone back to that and is moving the football downfield. 3rd down and about a foot for the Blue Bombers at the Edmonton 25. And Clements will keep behind center Lyle Bauer and will easily have the first down into the Eskimo 24-yard line.
Well, it almost looks like he's getting up out of the pile and looking at that wrist, saying that wrist is hanging in there, but we got to get the first downs, and he's the type of guy that'll do it himself.
You may wonder about Clements keeping the ball if he is hurting. It would be my feeling, though, that he probably called that play. 1st and 10, Bombers at the Edmonton 24. Clements to pass, and he's looking into the end zone, and it's intercepted and dropped by Junior Robinson. Never had control of the football as he stepped off the field of play. Robinson has moved to the football a number of times tonight on Tom Clements' throws.
Short passes often are for one reason, to set up a big play. It's exactly the same play. Motion going left, a quick pump fake, but doesn't sell it. Junior Robinson moves towards the left side, goes away from the strength, and does nothing but read Clements. He reacts to the quarterback, comes over and almost picks it off in the end zone.
Junior Robinson has been with Ottawa, Saskatchewan, Hamilton, and BC. He's played well for Edmonton tonight. 2nd and 10, Blue Bombers draw play. Willard Reeves to the 15. He's to the 10. Hit by Ronnie Howard and gets to the 8-yard line. The Blue Bombers spring Reeves on a draw for a 16-yard gain on 2nd down.
Well, Willard Reeves, as he's so effective, waits for that handoff and then explodes up the middle and picks a seam and then gets jacked straight up by Ron Howard.
Hey, that's a good tough hit by Ronnie Howard.
I'll tell you, he straightened him up good.
1st and goal, Blue Bombers, Eskimo 8-yard line, 8 minutes, 20 seconds left. Clements throws. Tuttle. He's got it at the 1-yard line, held out of the end zone by Howard and Tony. What a circus catch by Perry Tuttle.
I think he's wondering himself, how did that ball come into my hands? then bounced back out and was able to grab it, because Clements had to string this ball in there pretty quick. He knows he's going to be open, and it's a scrape type of pattern. He takes the pop and does a good job of hanging on, and again, the hit is made by Ron Howard.
2nd and goal, Blue Bombers at the Edmonton 1-yard line. Tuttle comes out as the Bombers add some blocking strength. Mikowas and Tyrone Jones, and Tom Clements hands off to Willard Reeves, who gets into the end zone, but there's a flag on the play. Bombers have a touchdown, but there is a flag.
Offside, Edmonton number 20, decline, touchdown.
Don Wilson, Eskimos defensive halfback, was offside. The touchdown will stand, and the Bombers will get back within 14 if Trevor Kennard can convert this Willard Reeves touchdown.
Doesn't have to be anything fancy, just follow Vernon Paul and Pat Cantner, and there's going to be a seam, and he just powers his way into the end zone.
5th touchdown of the season for Willard Reeves. And there is the Kennard convert, and we have 7 minutes and 45 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter. Bob Irving and Neil Lumsden at Winnipeg Stadium. We have seen some great finishes, Neil and I, and many others, of course, in the CFL this season. Will we see another one here at Winnipeg Stadium? Bombers 2nd and 10 at the Edmonton 25. Clements at the pass, buying some time, throwing for Boyd, and he can't get it at the 1-yard line. So Winnipeg will face a 3rd and 10, trailing by 14 with 2:44 left.
But Jeff Boyd knew coming across the middle there's going to be lots of action, and that action is in the form of Junior Robinson, who Boyd sees and is keeping his eye on, and knew he wanted to try to pull the ball down and get it low to avoid the hit and catch the football.
3rd down and 10. Blue Bombers, Eskimo 26-yard line. Willard Reeves drops the football at the Bomber 22-yard line. There were a couple of Eskimos closing on him, and we won't ever know if he would have made the 1st down. But the Bombers turn it over. And it's been a frustrating night for Clements. And that just adds to it, I would guess.
Well, he'll look to his backs for as a 3rd receiver. Willard Reeves has got his eye on the marker where the 1st down is, and he can taste it. It's going to be a one-on-one situation with he and Larry Ruck. And I guess you'd have to give that one to Ruck, because he made Willard Reeves look upfield.
Wow, seeing the replay, you would have to think Reeves would have gotten very close to that 1st down marker. But the Eskimos take over on downs. And the people start to file out of Winnipeg Stadium as Milson Jones takes the handoff on 1st down. 2:36 the time left in the 4th quarter. 42-28. Edmonton in front. Joe Farragelli still not home and cool out. I'm sure he's not feeling that way.
Well, I think he's happy the way things have gone. But now's where you want to run the football.
2nd down and 7. Eskimos at their 29-yard line. Dunnigan back to pass. Throws over the middle, and Stephon Jones scooped it up off the turf, incomplete. So the Eskimos will have to punt it away.
Well, one hopper came close, but I'm sure Winnipeg's going to be ready to tee off on Tom Dixon. They'll have 11 men up in the line, and they have been very successful this year in blocking kicks, partially due to the coaching, but partially due to some of the players like Flagel and Vernon Paul, who recognize how important it is and what they have to do.
I would feel like you, Neil, that they would try to block this punt, but they have dropped 3 men back. So it appears they're going to set up a return. If ever there was a time to go after the block, you would think it's now. 3rd down, Eskimos, 7 yards to go from there. 29, 2:15 the time left. Dixon gets the kick away. It'll bounce between the Bomber return men, and Sampson has to go back to his 35 to get it, and he's dropped at the 33-yard line. So that worked out about as poorly as it could for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And a reminder again that on Sunday on CFN we will bring you Hamilton at Saskatchewan, 4 o'clock Eastern time, and then next Friday it's BC visiting the Hamilton Tiger Cats at Ivor Wynne Stadium, and we'll have that one for you at 8 Eastern time.
The Ticats are ready for a win, and John Gregory coming off his first win. His football team played awfully well last week, and he maybe now is starting to get the performance out of his players and the consistency that he's looking for.
And they're expecting a good crowd at Taylor Field of about 26,000 for that one. Clements throwing on first down. Nowhere near an intended Blue Bomber receiver. 1:59 the time remaining in the fourth quarter. Matt Dunnigan has had quite a night. Scored a couple of touchdowns. Passed for in the neighborhood of 400 yards.
Well, even at this point in the game, people might wonder, why is he talking to the coach up in the spotter's box? You can always learn. There are situations that will present itself in the next series, and he has to know what to do, and he will learn from that.
Tom Clements is sacked back at his 32-yard line by Stu Hill. Clements was attempting to unload his 52nd pass of the evening. That's the most passes thrown in a single game in the CFL this season, but he didn't get it off. Instead, he will lose. Back to the Bomber 33-yard line, and we'll look at a 3rd and 12 with 1:49 left in the fourth quarter. Edmonton leading 42-28. Clements back to throw. Has some time and has Tuttle down the sideline, and he has the football, but is knocked out of bounds at the 53, and Ronnie Howard jarred the ball loose. They rolled an incomplete pass, and the Eskimos will once again take the football over on downs.
The Eskimo defensive backs have accomplished a couple of things tonight, but one is they've got the receivers of the Bombers waiting to get hit. They're going down the field and they're almost tentative to catch the football. You could see he was expecting to get hit and he was worried about it. You can't worry about what's going to happen after you catch the ball or in the process of catching it. Catch the ball, and if you're going to get hit, you're going to get hit. But they've really intimidated the receivers.
They really have. That Edmonton secondary, of course, has been criticized this season, but they have played well tonight, and as you just pointed out, Neil, they have played a very intimidating style of football. Dunnigan completes to Tom Richards on first down from the Winnipeg 32, and Richards carries the ball across the 25. Richards has one of tonight's touchdowns. Pardon me, he set up a touchdown with a long pass from Matt Dunnigan.
Take a look at Danny Bass. He's had a fine game, not only stuffing the run tonight, but in the pass coverage. He's the leader of that defense, and it shows.
Here's a toss play to Chris Skinner. He's inside the 20 down to the 19. Richards actually did score a touchdown. There's been so many points scored. I'm having a hard time keeping track of them all, and so many of them on big plays, but a 72-yard touchdown throw, Dunnigan to Richards. That was in the third quarter. And right now we have 1:07 left in the fourth quarter. Edmonton leading 42-28 and putting the finishing touches on their first win for Joe Farragelli.
This is when the receivers in the back get into the huddle and say, I'm open, I'm open.
Dunnigan to throw, flag on the play. The pass is complete to Stephon Jones. But we do have a penalty.
Offside, Winnipeg, number 72.
Delbert Fowler was offside on the play. As we look at a rather happy group of Edmonton Eskimos, I guess they're not really showing it that much, but they have to feel pretty pleased. William Mitchell suppressing a yawn there, it looks like. Ho-hum, this is routine stuff. Well, I'll tell you, it's not. The Bombers don't lose here at Winnipeg Stadium very often. Coming into tonight, they'd won 26 of their last 28 regular season home games in this park. They are about to lose their third in the last 29. 49 seconds on the clock. Handoff Skinner left side on 1st and 5. Eskimos from the Bomber 14. And Skinner gets it down to the 11 or 12.
Well, when the Bombers were 4-0 and 61, it was the Eskimos who came in and beat them 35-20. And the year before that, they were 10-0 with Kenny playing, as you'd mentioned earlier. And they were beaten again by the Eskimos, at this time 15-2. So the Eskimos have got that magic touch.
And you know, 2 years ago in '85, Edmonton won here in the old 37-18 to snap a 16-game Winnipeg home field win streak. Dunnigan throwing to Kelly on first down to the Blue Bombers 6 or 7 yard line. That'll give the Eskimos a first down with 24 seconds left. Now we see some celebration at the Edmonton bench, and why not?
They're going to work hard to get Brian Kelly in the end zone and get him that touchdown. And it doesn't matter if it's 12 seconds or 1 minute and 12 seconds left. If you can get it to him, they will.
One more touchdown will give Kelly 88 in his career and tie Tom Scott's all-time record. Dunnigan on a quarterback draw is tripped up as he crossed the 5-yard line. Tyrone Jones just got a hand on Dunnigan's ankle. I don't know if that was a call draw or not. It appeared to me he glanced to the right where Kelly was, but he was well covered, and Dunnigan just took off with it. And this will be the final play of the game, barring a penalty.
I think we should drop back and try to get Brian Kelly in a quick slant inside.
Kelly is to the right, and Dunnigan is looking over to Kelly's side now. He throws, but it's no good. Kelly was out of the end zone, as a matter of fact, when the football got there. So they don't get Kelly the touchdown, but they do get the first win for Joe Farragelli, the Eskimos.
What a tough game it was for Blue Bomber quarterback Tommy Clemens. Knocked out of the game in the third quarter with a wrist injury, only to come back and get picked off on his first playback in the fourth quarter. Now, Matt Dunnigan, on the other hand, he had a great night, rushing for 2 touchdowns and throwing for 2 more. The Eskimos, they capped off an 11-win, 7-loss season with a run to the Grey Cup. In one of the best games in CFL history, Edmonton defeats Toronto 38-36. That's it for this show. A special thanks to Marianne and John from the Canadian Football Hall of Fame for dressing up our studio. For ESPN Classic, I'm Chris Schultz. Thanks for watching.